So, when drawing the proportions of a human face, you want to first of all draw yourself an upside down egg. I've got my guide sheet here to help me. So you can start by drawing a circle. And you see how I'm making those lines with my pencil really nice and faintly, rather than just going in really, really hard with a solid edge. This will help you to create a nice rounded shape, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and now to make this into an egg, I'm just going to add this bit at the bottom, which will be the chin. Okay, so now you've got that basic shape in place. With these bits that you'll end up rubbing out, any bits that you end up rubbing out, make sure you do them nice and faintly. Now you can use a ruler or you can go by eye. Okay, if I measure, that's 19 centimetres up, so I'm going to go for about 9.5, and that's halfway down the face. So I'm going to draw a very faint line. And this is going to be where your eyes sit, because they actually sit halfway down the face. Okay, and halfway between that is roughly about 7. Okay, so I've actually got that right. So I'll just draw a very, very faint line, just straight down the face as well. Now, your next steps, so you can see I've drawn that very, very faintly, so I can rub it out easily. Your next steps are to add in your eyes, okay? Now, across the face, there should be roughly 5 spaces, okay, that are the same size as your eyes. So you've got your eyes sitting here, so try and divide this up into 5 equal portions. Okay, it might take you more than one go, you might have to play with it. Okay, so they should be roughly the same. And then you add in your eyes to the second and the fourth option. So if you imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your second and your fourth. So your eyes are the same width apart. If it helps you, you could even draw 5 eyes going across, or 3 eyes, which you can rub out afterwards to help you. So now I've got the basic shape of my eyes in place, just little ovals. Okay, so now your next step, okay, is to go between halfway between the eyes, because you're going to measure to the top of the lips. So go from about halfway, okay, and that's 9. So if I measure about 4.5, which is actually where that circle is, that should be roughly, it depends on the face now, so this can alter slightly, but I'm going to do that as the top of the upper lip. So I'm just going to do a little curve here to remind myself that that's the top of the upper lip. When you add any details, you can use the techniques that we used for when we drew lips, eyes and noses, etc. Okay, now I'm just going to add in another little line for where I want the base of my nose to sit. Okay, so you can do that by eye. And that is the upper lip there. Okay, now if I measure straight down, okay, from either side, and just draw a little line from the corners of the eyes, that should be the edges of the nose. So I'm just going to add that in as a little rounded line at the bottom. And then you can add that and add the little curves for the nostrils. So some of this is measuring, and some of this is using your artistic skill. Okay, now I want to imagine where the dimples of my nose would sit. So if you draw little dots here, and then you go up, straight up from the dimples of your nose, that should be roughly the beginning of the eyebrows. Again, it always depends on the face. Okay, so thinking about the golden ratio, this should be roughly where an ideal eyebrow shape should be. So we go straight up from the dimple of the nose, and this is how they measure eyebrows, okay, when you go to get them done. For example, when people go to get them done in beauty salons, this is how they measure the shape of your brows. You go from the dimple of your nose, then straight through the centre of the eye, and that marks the top of the arch. So you can draw little lines to help you if that helps. And then from the dimple of the nose up to the corner of the eye, that's where the end of the brow sits. So now you can roughly draw that brow shape on. Okay, and the same on the other side. So straight through the centre to mark your arch, and then straight down to the ends, and that'll mark the end of the brows. So now we've got the basic measurements of the face in place. Now you can add in your ears, which go from roughly where the eyebrows are. Again, it depends. Sometimes it's halfway between a person's brows, sometimes the top. So I'll do it from about halfway, and they sit at the end of a person's nose. And normally when you're facing a person straight on, so if you have a look at the person straight in front of you, you'll be able to see that their brows, that you can't really see normally their ears that much from when the person's looking at you straight on. So you just wanted to draw just the outer bits of the ear. Okay, now the hairline is going to make this look more in proportion now, because your hairline actually takes up probably, for most people, about half between the top of their head and their eyebrows. But again, it depends. Some people have lower hairlines than others. So I'm going to do this. Imagine that that's their parting, and just bringing that down here. Okay, so now you've got the hairline in place. Okay, thinking about the neck, okay, if you have a look at your neck and pop your fingers here just underneath your ears, you'll feel that your neck actually comes straight down. So your neck, you need to draw like this. Some people like to draw necks really, really small here. That's not proportionally accurate. You need to be able to support the head. Okay, so that's the neck in place now. Then you can add in a hair around the edge, and normally hair has a little bit of volume. Okay, so it sticks up from the head a little bit. So you can start to add in the hair from either side. So now you've got most of those proportions in place, you can start to add it in place, you can add some details, okay, such as the lips, the bottom of the chin, and you can use those techniques that we've been working on in class to help you draw that accurately. You can add in the details of the eyes. Remember, you can normally not see the whole iris of the eye, okay? You can add things like dimples, the face shape you might want to square off slightly with the chin. Okay, you can add in things like hooded eyes, any details that you want to add. And rub out all of those excess lines and start to add in your shades and tones.